Good morning, my Teaser King family. How is everybody today? I am doing well. Gold and silver is getting hit by paper. It's meaningless. We got gold down 132 at 48.61. There's no reason for it. Nobody's selling gold. It's all paper options. It's all illegal bullshit, as is silver 72.35. Please do not worry about these things. These are just paper. And basically, it's bullshit. Anyway, so it's days like this. Now it's the 10 o'clock drop as we see. It's 10:15. Oh, well, there was also a midnight drop and there was a 8 o'clock in the morning drop and now a 10 o'clock drop. So it's really, it's almost unwatchable. It's because it's just not real. There's huge demand. There is no supply, and yet the price goes down. Good luck explaining that because that's bullshit. That's the option paper Madoff Ponzi scheme that you're looking at. It is not anything else but that. So don't worry. Physical's fine. We will go up. This will bounce. We got the Chinese New Year, which I was not sure what would happen with the Chinese New Year, but we will see. A second. Wes, I'm fine. How are you? 1 second. I got to get my pee. Now, I normally don't want to eat before 11, but the pool closes early today, so I got to get there earlier. So I'm doing class earlier, and I'm hungry. So we're eating a little earlier. We understand it's a Ponzi scheme, the paper. We understand the paper's going away because all these countries are trying to come out with a physical market, not a paper market. The banks make money on these options until they short them and then the price goes up. So why they're shorting it is there's no explanation except for they want to keep the price down so they can buy it, or they want to get out of the options that they've shorted. It's A or B, or probably a little of both. Meaning they want to buy more, so let's get the price down. Or when we're shorting, we want the price to drop. Now you'd think they would have done that when silver was at 120, they would have shorted and got it down to 70 like they did and made a ton of money. So I don't know what's left if they didn't sell at that point, what the hell they're waiting for. So I think it's a lot of it is keeping the price down so you can buy. It's amazing how people don't understand this simple concept. Of course, if it's cheaper, I'll buy it. 48.55 gold, not a concern. I mean, it's down $139 for what reason? Profit taking? No, it's options, it's paper. It's all bullshit. Anyway, silver 72.69 seems to have a floor at about 71. Again, it'll be bought up because it's in huge demand and there's no supply. So how the fuck is the price going down? Makes 0 sense. So we're simply problem solving that. Let's see. I'll tell you, it's getting so hard right now to answer the phone. Um, you don't even want to answer it. um, because it's not even there. Physical buying this time, good. More weight. Yeah, I mean, I would buy physical gold and silver at this price because there's a huge demand. See, so the question we've got to problem solve, is there demand for gold and silver? And the answer is yes, because the money's worthless. So if we know the money is worthless, there's only one option, which is gold and silver. So you always want to buy gold and silver once you have enough money to buy it with. It's a no-brainer. You're going to make a great deal of money on it, but you can't expect it to happen tomorrow. It's not a football game. It's not a stock. Gold is money. And until we get rid of this COMEX crap, they're kind of pricing it, but it's okay. We can take advantage of it. You got silver down to 74. I'd be, or 72. Just it's a buy situation. We saw it 120. It's going back to 120. It's going to 500. So it's definitely a buying opportunity. But I see a lot of you guys thinking it's a what's it going to do today? We got the guy from India, Kurt, who's like, what's it going to do today? What's it going to do this week? Well, we have no idea because we're not controlling it. The market's not controlling it. So all we know is the the paper market is controlling it. I looked at silver today in China, and it's not even priced right. It says $89, so it's still kind of using COMEX to price it. So we're not really getting a good physical price, which means supply and demand, which means somebody wants it. There's no supply, so the price goes up. Well, where are we going with that? There's the supply is gone. The demand hasn't gone. They still need it for everything. So what the hell is going on? So you just be patient with it. I mean, I bought it at 1800 and it was 2000. Then it finally broke 2000 and got to 2200, 23, and it never looked back. But it didn't happen in a day. It takes time, but way back, we were looking at 2004 or 5, it was 200 an ounce. Nobody's buying it, but we still had massive inflation. It just wasn't shown, and then Bricks wasn't there buying the shit out of it. Now Bricks is there buying the shit out of it, right? 2000, since about 2018, they want to go to a gold-backed currency, so they need gold, so they've been buying it, and now silver, and so they're buying it. So the price is not reflective of the market, the paper price. So that's what we understand, and that's how we go. So that's where we're at. We just be patient. We know this is a phony price. We've always known COMEX is phony. Well, at least maybe not in the beginning when we see $200-300 an ounce. That's phony. It was really much higher. So keep that in mind. So we have that. There's a lot of like videos that are fake that I believe are sent out by the government or the IRS, and you'll see, oh, pay your taxes are due, and you get these emails from these tax companies. Oh, you better do your taxes now. They're reminding you that you got to pay your income tax. Oh, it's not due till April 15th. If you got money back, then yeah, you want to do it sooner than later. However, you start seeing these, oh, you got to pay 28% capital gains on gold and silver. Now, I'm wondering, because they call it a collectible, I'm wondering if they consider the bullion that we buy, like this, is this a collectible? It's not a collectible in my world. A collectible is a Mantle card, Tom Brady card. I mean, I'm wondering if the definition is you're buying it because the price will go up, or you're collecting something. You know, if I like Tom Brady and I buy his card, is it a collectible? I guess. Let's see what the definition of collectible is. Let's see. Collectible definition of an item worth collecting, of interest to a collector, able to be collected, a surplus collectible as rent by the land. Well, what makes an item a collectible? I hate this AI shit because it's always wrong. A collectible is an object often appreciating in value. That's not true. That is deemed desirable to its scarcity. That's not true at all. Historical significance, condition, and demand among enthusiasms. Key drivers include rarity, strong, verified provenance. I don't know what that means. An excellent condition. This is bullshit. Unused or original packaging. These items, which can range from antiques to modern toys, are sought for both personal enjoyment and investment potential. Key factors that make an item collectible: rare and scarcity. See, this is not true. Condition, it's not true. Demand and popularity, historical significance, and age. Why not always true for modern collectibles? Older items increase in value. Popular types of collectibles include, but are not limited to, sports memorabilia, coins, stamps, fine art, comic books, vintage toys, and luxury items. Coins are not necessarily collectible. See, and I hate that this is an AI. I don't want an AI. Give me the regular. Here's Webster, collectible definition and meaning. Suitable for being collected. Collectible coins, collectible figurines, collectible credit card bills. Well, that's not how is that a collectible? Oh, my God. Variants of less commonly collectible, an object that is collected by fancier, especially one other than such traditional items as art, stamps, coins, and antiques. The dolls are collectible. Examples are automatically compiled from online source to show current usage. The collectible item mentioned above will likely ring up for a bit more. More than 2,000 people gathered Saturday inside collectible comic book stuff. See, where I'm arguing, so we really don't get a good, here's the Cambridge Dictionary. Collectible, an object that people collect as a hobby or an investment. Vintage collectibles, the collectibles market. Collectible, we felt there was a real opportunity in digital collector cards. Well, that's an idiot. It includes taxpayers who owe balances, haven't filed tax return. Yeah, so that's not a collectible. Baseball cards. See, when they say it has to be a good condition or it has to be rare, that's bullshit. I collected 1992 hoops, Michael Jordan cards. They are not rare, and they don't have to be in good condition to make it a collectible. Hey, Mr. Behold, how are you today? Or Mrs. Behold, the tease man. I once called Bobby, I thought he was a girl. And he says, "You think I'm a woman?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. Because it was Benia 420. I didn't know if that was Bobby or Billy or whatever." So, a collectible to me, this is a collectible, right? The Sands Hotel poker chip. Actually, this was used for blackjack, craps, whatever. This is not limited. It is not rare, but it's collectible for that. It doesn't matter the condition. I have this. I have this one. This is the 49er Club. This is a casino in the 1950s on the downtown strip in Vegas. Does this condition look good? No, this condition sucks. But it's very, very rare because it was in the 1950s. So it's got nothing to do with condition. This is a collectible because I collect the chips, but that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean it's rare, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's valuable. It's part of the collection. So a collectible to me is something, but I'm not buying that silver and gold are collectibles, as the government wants to tax us 28% on a. It was a collectible, so you owe, you know, what do they call it? You owe tax on it. And my argument would be in a bullion that it's not a collectible. I'm not collecting silver as a collectible. I'm getting out of money with it. I want to buy silver. It's not a collectible. A 1920 1-ounce silver coin is a collectible. A round that isn't even dated, that just has a buffalo on the back, is not a collectible in the same meaning as a Mickey Mantle card. And I'm not quite sure Mickey Mantle is a collectible. This is where I'm struggling with the definition of a collectible. I like how the government says, well, if you own a 1-ounce silver round, it's a collectible. And capital gains tax is 28%. Well, it's not a collectible. Just because I own silver, well, I guess if we get into that, anything that you collect is a collectible. But it's not a collectible in the same thing as buying a 1920 MS 69 silver dollar. That's a collectible. That has value. That's graded and everything else. That's more of an investment. But buying silver is not really an investment, and it's really not a collectible. You're buying it because you want to get out the dollars because you're smart enough to get out of dollars, but it's not a collectible. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar card, a Magic Johnson card. I don't know. It's a real fine line of what is a collectible. And then again, it's got nothing to really do with limited or good condition or any of that. That's bullshit. Like I said, I got a Sandy Koufax 1965 that's not in great condition. So if it's not in great condition, how limited is it? Is it a collectible? According to your definition, it's not because it's not in great condition. It's not really scarce. It's limited to a point, but the better the condition, the more limited it is. That's why we go after a PSA 10s because there's far fewer PSA 10s. Shut the fuck up. There's far fewer PSA 10s That's why the Montana rookie card is 100,000 because there's probably 10 or 20 PSA 10s. PSA 9 is what, 10,000. So is a Montana scarce? No. The Montana itself is not a scarce card because we know Topps printed a lot in 81. They printed a lot in 1965 going after a Mantle card. It's not really scarce. What makes it scarce is the condition, because of the cards printed, how many are PSA 10s? Not a lot of Montanas, not a lot of Rices. Certainly in 1965, very few PSA 10s. So it becomes, because they're very limited, they have the value. So that's kind of what we're looking at. What the fuck? So I don't know. But I start seeing these videos on when you sell your gold, even if you don't get 1099, and then they're saying, well, if you use PayPal, if somebody pays you on PayPal, in other words, what they're trying to do is scare you. If me and you met at a grocery store, behold, we met at Kroger's, and you wanted to buy gold from me, or let's say silver. So you wanted to buy 2 ounces. You wanted to buy this 2-ounce maple leaf, and it's $80. So I'll sell it to you for 160. You go, okay. And then what they're saying is, if you pay me in Venmo or PayPal, it's not private. They will know that you used it, and so you got to be careful in private sales, which is total bullshit. Something like that would be cash only. You're going to give me cash, I give you the silver, and nobody knows about it. That's why most of my sales, my purchases at the gold store have been with cash. Occasionally I'll use my credit card. But again, they've never gotten my social security number, or sometimes they get my name on the credit card or something. But there's really no history of me buying it. Yeah, I bought something from the Golden Jewelry store, but I could have bought jewelry, right? Now, if somebody wanted to buy my gold chain, is that a collectible? So I'm thinking outside the box. So people are worried, well, if they give me a check and I go to the bank, they'll know I sold gold. But if it gets to that, you just say I sold some gold jewelry. I had some jewelry. I had my wedding ring. I sold it. And I believe jewelry was not a collectible versus a coin. How about a bar? If I have a 1-ounce bar, is that a collectible? Is it the coin that's the collectible versus the bar versus the jewelry? Now I'm really mind fucking everybody because I'm thinking really fifth dimensionally here, which is what I do. So to avoid this, you just go get cash from the Golden Jewelry store. Now, maybe they don't have cash, they're giving you a check. Okay, I go to the bank. Will they ask what it's for? I'll just say, I was in Vegas. I was at a poker, but it's hard because the check's going to be from the Golden Jewelry store, the coin store, because that's the name on the check. So I can't just say it's from Vegas. But it would be selling jewelry, which I do not believe is a collectible. I should have asked that before I closed it. Well, let's reopen it. Let's do what the Teaser King does. Yes, jewelry is widely considered a collectible, particularly pieces featuring rare gemstones, exceptional craftsmanship, or significant historical provenance. Collectors often target vintage or antique items. Um, let's see. It's hard because you get this AI bullshit. Yeah, see, they don't. The initial question is yes, jewelry is widely considered a collectible, particularly pieces featuring rare gemstones. Let's ask, is gold jewelry a collectible? Gold jewelry is considered a collectible, especially antique, vintage, or designer pieces. Okay, I'm not talking about that. Valued for their rarity, craftsmanship, and history, often appreciating over time, while some pieces are valued primarily for their gold content. Rare items can exceed their melt value. The IRS classifies gold as a collectible for tax purposes, but that's not the question. Is it jewelry? If it's valued beyond gold content, well, it's not. So it's not unique. It's not rare or branded jewelry. Categories highly sought after pieces. Shut the fuck up. Investment potential, while subject to high initial markups, vintage gold jewelry can appreciate. Tax implication: the IRS treats gold as a collectible, as long term gains may be subject to a 28%. Uh, it doesn't really answer the question. Uh, doesn't really answer the question. It's saying if it's very rare, if there's diamonds in it. And this is the problem with AI. They're going, gold is considered an investment or a collectible. That's not the question. The question, and this is the problem with AI. I'm not saying gold. I'm saying jewelry. So it's saying, yeah, jewelry is a collectible. But yeah, we're trying to figure out what the hell a collectible is. Just because you buy something does not mean it's a collectible. So in other words, I have a baseball, football, and a sports card collection, but in it I have a lot of cards that aren't worth anything because I bought a set. Let's say I bought a set of 1990 hoops basketball. There's a lot of shit in there. Even the Magic and Bird cards are worth a buck. So it's not scarce. I'm not sure the conditions perfect. They're mint, but not gem mint. So they're really not worth anything. The Jordan card's worth $3 or $4. A 10 Jordan's worth 100 if I got it graded. So what is a collectible? Is it something, is it an investment, or am I just collecting? Like these casino chips. I'm just collecting the sands. This is not going up in value. This is not limited or scarce. This is probably, you can't even go to the sands anymore. If I look it up on eBay, it's probably a $10 coin, right? The sands is probably $10. Is this a collectible? in my world, it's a collectible, but in a different world, it's not a collectible that's scarce that I'm going to make a lot of money on. That isn't the intent. I was at the Sands and got it. I was at the DI and I would putt when I was way young. And then I would go in and play blackjack. And if I hit a blackjack, I'd play $5 blackjack at the DI. And if I hit, it paid, I think, 7 to 6 or something. So I'd get a few dollar chips with my 5, and then I'd go cash. And I'd give them like $40, and then I'd keep the $1 ones. That's where I got these from. And that was it. I mean, that was the whole point of it, was you collected ashtrays from these casinos or other things. And that's the point. So if you collect that kind of stuff, does that mean it's a collectible? Are you collecting it, or you like it, so you have? I guess that's determined a collectible. But to pay 28% on a collectible is just ridiculous. So in my mind, no 1099, it ain't going on my tax return. And okay, so what they're saying is if it's PayPal or Venmo, somebody pays you in that. Okay, first of all, if I go to the gold store, he's not paying me in that. He's going to give me cash or a check. I'm not sure. If one of you guys wants an ounce of silver, you're paying me in cash. If you do pay me in PayPal, like football, that's fine. And, again, that small amount probably won't show up as anything. Again, the government's not going to go after probably things under 25,000. If AI even figures it out. They got you scared into believing AI can see everything. Who's going to read the AI? And at what point do they come after you? 5,000? No. 10? No. 25? Maybe. They don't have enough agents to come looking at you. Oh, wait, he made a sale for, $1,000 in silver. He didn't put it on his tax return. Yeah, that ain't going to happen. But they're trying to scare you into doing it. They're trying to scare you in, oh, that's tax fraud, or that's that. Luke had a problem with it. Oh, I gotta report it, or it's tax evasion. I can go to jail. And that's exactly what they're trying to do, is scare you into doing that, which is just bullshit. Now, the second thing is capital gains is on the gain. What'd you buy it for? Who knows? You don't have records for what you bought it for. You know what? Gosh darn it. I think I bought it for $5,000 and I'm selling it for $5,000. My capital gain is 0. Well, it's up to you to prove it. Well, I can't prove what I bought it for. I can only prove what I sold it for. So what was my gain? My gain was nothing. And what are they going to do? Well, I assume you bought it for $5. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And that's the thing where they can look at the year, but I can go buy a 1984 1-ounce gold today. Doesn't mean I bought it in 1984. So just be careful on this whole collectible thing. Now, I know if I get my Montana graded and it's a 10, and I sell it on eBay for 110,000, yes, I will have to pay a capital gains tax on that. I get that. And that would be a red flag. But that's okay. I'll pay the capital gains tax on it if I have to. Now, we might have to go to other countries to sell our gold and silver, depending. And a lot of it, I think, is the amount. It's just like doing your tax return. If you do it honestly, you're fine. If you do it where you kind of well, I want to include this and I want to include that. As long as it's a small amount, they're not going to come after you. They want the big amount. It's not worth their time to go after $5,000. They don't have enough agents. It's not worth their time. It'll cost them $5,000 to look at your $5,000. So they're not going to do it. But again, the idea here would be to sell it for cash. Like I said, if I meet one of you guys, it's cash. If I go to the store, he might give me a check, but I'm not going to take 20 ounces of gold at 5,000 an ounce. That's $100,000. Well, I'm not going to do that. If you need that kind of money and you have that kind of gold, I would say take one or two, cash it in, get 10 grand, and move on every couple of weeks or once a month and go cash some more in. But you shouldn't be selling too much of your gold. But I understand the need for it. But the idea is not to. So be careful. This was an AI video, and it was meant to scare you, probably by the IRS or the government. Understanding that, they don't want you in gold. They want you in the stock market. They want you in real estate trust. They want you in the bond market. They don't want you there. Same thing with Bitcoin. As you start selling your Bitcoin, you're going to pay capital gain. Now, how is Bitcoin a collectible? Let's take a look at that. Is Bitcoin a collectible? Bitcoin is widely considered a digital speculative collectible similar to fine art or rare coins. See, now they say rare coins. They don't say gold. They say rare coins. Rather than a traditional currency due its cap supply of 21 million, which nobody knows. But used for transactions, no, it isn't. Its high price volatility and lack of intrinsic value align it closer to a collectible asset. In the US, the IRS treats Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as property, not as collectibles or currency. This means transactions are taxed under general property tax rules, similar to stocks or real estate, where selling, exchanging, or using crypto triggers capital gains and losses. Selling for fiat USD, trading for another cryptocurrency, or purchasing goods or services are taxable events. Jesus Christ. Capital gains, short-term held, which is less than a year, gains are taxed as an ordinary income. Long-term over gains and receives lower rates, 0, 15, 20%. So it's not a collectible because it is treated as general property. It does not fall under the special 28% maximum tax rate applied to physical collectibles like art or coins. Notice how they just said Bitcoin for some reason is not taxed the same, but it says it's not following. It's a 28% maximum tax rate applied. So if you're not working, are you going to pay 28% on your capital gain? Probably not. That's the maximum rate. So we might be paying 5%. So keep that in mind. It's not necessarily 28%. That's if you're rich and you make $500,000, you'll pay 28%. But if you make 50, 60,000, It's probably 20%. I remember doing this with Bobby a while ago, looking at capital gains rates. And there was a lot of them that were like 10% based on your income. So since my only income is my gold and silver, that's not reported as income. My Social Security, I don't know if that's reported as income. So if that's it, then I don't make that much on Social Security. What's going to be my capital gains rate on gold? Probably 5%, 10%. So again, it's the 28% maximum rate. Now you see why people are in Bitcoin, because they don't tax it as capital gain like they do gold and silver. And people are more interested in that instead of understanding Bitcoin's not real. And then they treat it differently. Why isn't it a collectible? The real question is, why is gold a collectible? If I'm buying bullion, it's not a collectible. How can it be? It's not really dated. I'm not buying it as a collectible. I'm buying it as money. So, it's really a bunch of bullshit. So basically, you guys print money and have a $39 trillion debt, and you want to tax me on that. So the question is going to be, well, what if we go to Switzerland to sell it? Again, if they're not giving me a 10, well, I don't even have to go. I can just go to my guy. He's not going to 1099 me. And I would just sell a couple ounces here and a couple ounces there. If you need the money, I would not sell 10 ounces and get a $50,000, check. I think if you keep it small, I think you're fine. It's like going to the airport. You're fine if you have less than $10,000 on you. Well, why 10, right? So now how do you go with gold? You're not going to declare it. When you land in Europe, you're not declaring anything. There's really, they have immigration, but I've never stopped I've stopped at passport control when I go to Austria or Germany or France or Spain or whatever, but never, like, I don't have anything to declare. There's not even anybody that you just walk through. Leaving, they don't ask you that question. When I leave Michigan to fly, they're not asking, are you carrying anything? They do ask you when you come back. If you have, do you have 10,000 or more? And you say no, and they go, okay. And you're not emptying out your pockets. So, and again, this has a value of, it's 2-ounce silver. Oh, here you go. So this has a value of $10, right? So it's a $10, even though it's 2 ounces. So in silver world, it's worth like $150 now, but really it's worth $2. I don't know. It's worth $2, it says. So when you are selling it, you almost just take the face value of the coin, saying, well, I bought it for 50, I sold it for 50. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. My dad gave me gold. I sold it it said 50 on it, so I took 50. Well, they'll know depending on the transaction. But anyway, when selling gold and silver, you want to take cash, and then nobody knows. Get a 1099, nobody knows. If you get a 1099, nobody knows. This whole PayPal Venmo thing, you're going to take cash. Unless the store is paying you by check, and then you don't say anything. I don't know. It was a gift. So how the hell do I know what it would cost me? So anyway, I was watching that, and I thought, I didn't like the way they were kind of trying to scare you. It's a 28%. No, it's not 28%. It depends on your bracket. Depends on your income. It could be 5% or 10%, not necessarily 28%. All right. So let's go back into football betting and we'll problem solve. And I know I've been talking about this, but it's a very in-depth topic. So you're trying to problem solve the game. I was watching some poker show yesterday, and it was called Poker Brain, and it's on Tubi. I thought it was terrible. They're trying to read the brain patterns and the brain waves of these people and looking for little tells. And, I could do this and have nothing, or I could do this and have a full house. You don't know what this means. And I could do it at any time. I could look at a pair of aces, or I can look at 2-5 offsuit and go, okay, what do I have? You have no fucking idea, because I'm going to give you the same expression with a good hand or a bad hand. I'm going to bet them differently. It's the betting. Anyway, so in football, you're trying to problem solve everything. You're trying to problem solve the game. In other words, who do I think is going to win? And you come up with your own conclusion, which is what I do, and your own line. So you look at the game, so look at the Super Bowl. I problem solved that before. Let's get into the Miami, Indiana college championship game. How do you problem solve that game? Which I did correctly. We look at Indiana, and there's a lot of blanks. They did win at Oregon, but how good's Oregon? You really didn't know how good they were. They barely beat Penn State, which I thought was a terrible game, and they barely beat Iowa at Iowa. So they're good on the road, but they're not. They beat Illinois by 60 points, put up 30 on Oregon, and put up 19 on Iowa. So you're scratching your head going, who is this team? And so you learn the team based on strong opponents, not on weak opponents. That's why I always say throw out the high school games. When Ohio State beats Grambling 70-0, we can't use it. Absolutely meaningless. Ohio State, Texas, we did use. So if we look at the game, we look at Indiana. Okay, they finally play a good team in Oregon, and then they play Ohio State. And we finally get a good view of them, and they win 13-10. We bet that game under because both defenses are very strong, and you're not going to get a lot. I knew you weren't going to score a lot on Ohio State. So they win 13-10. So you start thinking, well, maybe they have a decent defense. Ohio State was scoring 40 a game. And their offense, Mendoza looked, he didn't look great, but he did get you the winning touchdown. Okay, so he's good in the clutch. What happened the other 3 quarters? So we use the Ohio State game as point in place of figuring out Indiana. Again, we're problem solving, and to problem solve, the problem is who's going to win Indiana, Miami, or Florida championship game. And we can only look at the Oregon game, and we can look at a little bit of the Iowa game and the Ohio State game. But let's focus on the Ohio State game. That was championship game. They win at 13-10. So I see a strong defense from Indiana, and I see kind of a weaker offense than we think. And then we look at the playoff games. They kill Alabama, but the quarterback gets injured. He only plays first half. Okay. Then we look at the Oregon game, and they blow out Oregon. But then we look at the game, and Dante Moore throws a pick 6 and a couple other interceptions. And I have no idea why they think Dante Moore is the second quarterback taken in the draft. He sucks. They played Indiana at home. They lost 30-20. Oh, yeah, they beat Washington and USC at home. I don't think they played Washington. they had some easy games at home. They struggled on the road. Um, Oregon went, I don't know. They played a couple of games that were tough. They didn't play Ohio State. They didn't play Michigan. I think they barely beat Penn State. But anyway, how good's Oregon to see how good the Indiana beating Oregon is? So you got to kind of analyze that. And then you look at Mendoza's stats, not a lot of interceptions. How good is he? He's not the number one pick. He's not the Heisman Trophy winner. Reuben Bain was the best player by a mile. And then Bailey at Texas Tech would be your second best player. Those should be the first two drafted. Those are the two best players. So you're looking at it and you're kind of, you're trying to problem solve it. And you go, well, let's see. So you get into I'm not into the playoffs. Where's my playoff thing? Oh, here it is. So you get into here and you look at the first round of the playoffs. Oregon beats James Madison. Why James Madison was in ahead of Notre Dame, I have no idea. But then you look at Miami beating a very talented A&M team 10-3. It was windy. There was a lot of missed kicks, but still, Reed looked terrible, the A&M quarterback. Oklahoma beats Alabama. Okay. So we kind of get a feel for Oregon, but not really, not against James Madison. And then we get a feel for Miami. Look at them, 10-3. So then we get to the next week. So Miami had beaten Notre Dame during the year. They lost to Louisville and they lost to SMU. SMU was overtime. But we know they have a bad coach. The quarterback's okay, but they have a killer defense. So then we get down to round two. Now here's where we make our analysis. Miami wins 24-14 over Ohio State. We go, wait a minute, Indiana only beat them 13-10. This is a playoff game. Ohio State played. I had this game locked under the minute I saw it. People don't understand. I know these teams inside and out for weeks, right? About week 8, week 9, I know what I have. So as soon as I see the line at this was 42, I said, there's no way they're going to score with Miami's defense. You just played a 10-3 with A&M, who's got a fabulous quarterback, or at least I thought he did. I now look at it and go, this is an under. It took me all of 5 seconds to see this is a lock, and it's under, and it's 42. I go under 48. It'll never get there. Final score, 24-14 to 38. So I see Miami puts up 24 on a good Ohio State team. The 10-3 against A&M, probably more wind-aided. Then I look at Miami against Ole Miss, 31-27. So they can't score, and their defense held this powerful Ole Miss team to 27. So they get the win 31-27. I see they are scoring 24 on Ohio State, 31 on Ole Miss. And the 10-3 A&M game was wind. Okay, so I get that. So I think they're going to score. Then we get Indiana. They don't play the first round. They play Ohio State to a 13-10, low-scoring game. But then they go against Alabama and put up 38-3. All right, the quarterback gets hurt in the second half, but they're still scoring 38 on Alabama. The 3, well, that's because the quarterback's out second half. And then we look at, they play Oregon again, and this time they beat them 56-22, but it's on Dante Moore throwing a pick 6 on the first play of the game. This is the guy you want to draft number 2. And you wonder why so many GM and coaches get fired after a year or two being incompetent. I think what they're trying to do in the pros is develop the quarterback. So they'll take Dante Moore knowing he's not that good, but he can run. He's got a decent arm. But you're missing the whole point. It's right here. It's the pride in the heart of the guy. It's the brain of the guy. That's what you're looking at. Dante Moore sucked at UCLA. He wasn't that much better here. Why are you drafting him? Number 2. He's a third, fourth round pick. We'll draft him number 2. No. He's not good. He played Oregon and lost twice. And the second time was a playoff game. So in the pressure, he throws a pick 6 first play. Is this the guy you want to draft? Under pressure, he's going to throw a pick 6. And guess what? You're going to get fired. I mean, it's just like Drake May. You think he's good, and then he gets into a big game against Seattle. He doesn't show up. And that's the point. So is Drake May our guy or not? Not really. In the big game, he's not there. In the big game against Denver, he didn't do anything. In the big game against Houston, you got 5 turnovers. He didn't really do much there. Oh, he did a lot against the Jets in Miami. Oh, yeah. And he beat a weak Baltimore team, 28-24. Is he a decent quarterback? Yes. Is he going to take you all the way? Well, what do you want? Dante Moore, average quarterback, no better than Hurts, no better than Lamar, Caleb. He's no better than any of those guys. So do you really want to get him? In fact, he's worse than those 3 I just mentioned. He's probably down there with Goff and I don't know, the Miami whoever the Miami quarterback is. It's not Tagliavore. He's there with the Jets quarterback. So he's not very good. So now I got to rethink Indiana going, well, I don't know. Dante Moore stinks. They put up a 56-22. So now I see Indiana scoring 38 on Alabama, 56 on Oregon. I go, wow, Ohio State must have a great defense to keep them 13-10, which I know Ohio State has a great defense. So I'm looking around to problem solve the game. So I try to look at Indiana's defense, and I go, well, they did give up 22 to Oregon. The 3 against Alabama doesn't count. The 10 by Ohio State, that was a good defense. But I see Miami scored 24 on Ohio State and then 31 on Ole Miss. I said, well, they can score. They got that fast guy, that freshman receiver. They got that great running back. And we know back from Georgia, who's okay. But obviously he's putting up points, the 24 on Ohio State. And I think one was a pick 6. But we see that and we go, okay, it's a big game. They should score. They'll probably get a defensive score. I think they did. And Indiana, I think, has a good defense, as does Miami. So you're really leaning both ways. The total on the game was 47. So you could have easily went under 53, and the end was 48. So I picked a 57. I picked 30-27 was a 57. So that's why I went over, and the score is 27-21, which put me over 47 was 41. I struggled picking the winner. Miami's defense, I can't ignore how strong they are. And again, Ohio State only scored 14 on them. And Indiana's defense, I'm puzzled by. I can't count the Alabama game, and Ohio State 13-10, and then Oregon played them a 30-20 in Oregon. So Indiana played a lot of weak teams. They get the Oregon 30-20. They get the Oregon 56-22. So coming off of that game, I think they're going to score. So I'd rather go over than under, even though the defense is not. As I've been researching it through the years, I'm realizing the defense is good against weak teams. But when they play Stafford and a Pukanuka, the defense is not the same, as Seattle showed you. When they played the Niners, it was 3 points. When they played New England, it was 13. But when they played the best offense, they struggled. And the way the game's played now, they couldn't really blitz Stafford, and he was able to find Pukanuka a lot. And again, they should have won. The Rams were the better team by far. They fumbled a punt. Just like Jim Harbaugh did for the Niners twice against the Giants. He doesn't pull his guy. The guy fumbles the punt, and the Giants go to win 2 Super Bowls that they had no business going. They weren't the better team. The Niners were. But the Niners didn't have a guy who could catch a fucking punt, right? So you wonder, Jim Harbaugh, how good are you? You're an idiot. And he had the same problem against Ohio State, at Michigan, uh, until they played a very weak schedule. It was the only time they could win. So we see both teams. We rate them as A's. We rate Miami's defense 14, Indiana's 11. But we're trying to put together, well, what normally happens in this type of game? There's going to be points, right? Indiana can score. They kind of open it up because it's a big game. And then you've got Miami there. So you're kind of opening it up. So that's where we go with it. So we're trying to predict, and we go, you know what? I got Indy -7, and the spread was 7.5, and I got 30-27 Indy winning, which makes me go on over because that's my score, 30-27. I didn't use AI. I didn't use averages. I didn't use any of that shit. I just said, what do I think the score is going to be? Well, I don't really know, but let's go with Indiana to win a close one because Miami scored on Ohio State, which I considered Ohio State's defense better than Indiana's because I'm watching Penn State light up Indiana. I'm watching Oregon put up a 20 on Indiana, granted a pick six. And I hit the over in the Indiana-Oregon game. The 30-20 game, I was over 40-something. And they get to 50. So I'm sitting there trying to, figure out Indiana, which is tough. They go out and they blow out Illinois because Illinois loses 6 guys in their secondary during the game. And Indiana's running the ball, and they got real power runners, and it's just handoffs that they're going for touchdowns. They're not an explosive team. Mendoza's not Joe Montana. Don't kid yourself. If the Raiders draft him, don't expect a lot. He's not all that. He'll struggle. Again, for Cal, he was 16 touchdowns, 6 picks. Oakland, he'll be lucky to go 10 touchdowns and 10 picks. That'll be a good year for him if he does that. Don't expect him to be all that. So you're dealing with that. And you end up, the object is to get to the score. How's their defense? How's their offense? How's the coach? We like Indiana's coach. We like Miami. We don't like their coach. But they got Ruben Bain and this killer defense, and he made a big difference. So we're kind of trying to, how good is Miami? Okay, they beat Notre Dame, which was a good team. You can't take it away. And then the way they handled A&M, I figured they would stay in the game. But when I looked at the best choice, it was over. Because I looked at what Mississippi did, it was 31-27 Miami. So Miami won, but they held Mississippi to 27. So I'm sitting there going, okay, Indiana's going to score on them, but Miami can score on Ohio State, which was the clue. And then the 31 on Ole Miss was nothing because Ole Miss had a 27 defense. So I knew they were going to score on Ole Miss. But what is Indiana's 11? And that's the problem. So all I could pull from is Ohio State and the 2 Oregon games to try to get a feel on Indiana. And the Penn State game where Penn State put up 20 on them. So I said Indiana's defense isn't all that. Miami could score on Ohio State. I keep using Ohio State because that was, okay, and Notre Dame we could put in. So they beat Notre Dame. They beat Ohio State. They're a good team. Yeah, the loss to Louisville, Thursday night, and then they lose to SMU in overtime. All right, we know they have a bad coach. So we really don't know Indiana's going to win. They're going to struggle with the Miami defense, and Miami's going to struggle with this Indiana defense. So looking at both issues, I come out with 30-27, of which then I look at the line and I go, oh, Indy's 7.5, big line. and total of 47.5. And I go, well, that total's okay. I think the game will be in the 40s. So 47.5 gives me 41. And that's how I came to the conclusion that I can't take Indy minus 1.5. I'm not sure they're going to win. Can I take Miami in 13.5? I can, but Indy just blew out Alabama, and they just blew out Oregon. So I got to be careful there. Miami's got a great defense. I'm not quite sure about Carson Beck, who we like in Georgia. Okay. So of the four ways to look at it, taking Indy minus 1, Miami plus 13, over 41.5 or under 53.5, I said, well, Indiana could, score a ton on Miami. Miami should be able to score on that. So I was a little afraid to take Miami as the dog, but I wasn't afraid. I felt that Miami can score in the 20. Well, as I said, I got 30 to 27. So since Miami can score, and yes, Miami's defense is great with Ruben Bain, but Indy scored on Ohio. They both beat Ohio State with a great defense. So I said, well, the way they beat Oregon and Alabama, Indy's really scoring. Okay, they're opening it up. It's a championship. So that led me to figuring out the score, which led me to looking at the total. Had the total been 44, it's probably going over 44 based on my score of 30-27. But since it was 47.5, then it became over 41.5. That's 21-20, and I felt this game would be in the 20s. And that's how I played it, based on how I problem solved it, how I thought the offenses and the defenses would play, how I look at other teams that they had played, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, the Oregon games. Looking at all that, Oregon didn't shut them out, and Oregon had a pretty good defense. They put up 30 on Oregon and 56 on Oregon, and they weren't bad. Now, they had the bad quarterback who threw a lot of picks. So with all that, I'm coming to the conclusion that this is a pretty good offense, good running. I don't like Mendoza is not the reason I took the game over. It's the running backs. So I ended up with that. And I ended up going, that's how I figured out the game. So you're going with the make of the team, what are they? I got them as 8 teams, which are very strong offense, very strong defense. But in that case, they still have a strong offense, right? I know Miami's got the best unit, their defense, which I give Indiana a lot of credit. They scored 27 on Ruben Bain, which is probably a big. Notre Dame didn't get 27. Then I'm looking, and that's what Ole Miss got 27. So that's the other key. Ole Miss got 27 on them. I said, okay, Indiana's going to get close to it. So I knew it would be in the 20s. So that's how I ended up getting to the over. Looking at and I know I explained this when I was giving you the pick. So Ohio State. So Indiana, we're not really sure of, but they did beat Penn State. They did beat Ohio State. They did beat Oregon twice. Didn't sell me that it's an automatic win, but did sell me that they can score. And so that's how I got to it. So I arrive at the score 30 to 27. Then I look at the number and it's 7.5. And Indiana's not as sure in against this Miami team. So I can't go Indiana. Do I trust Miami? I don't trust the coach. That leads me to a total, and the best total was over. Actually, I could have went under on the game and won, but I like the over. 47, 41.5. Okay. Had it been 52, I'd probably go under 58, but I'm scared. I think it's more of an over game than an under game, even though there's 2 great defenses. So I do that for every game. So when I looked at Alabama, Indiana, I'm looking at the same thing. When I looked at in that game, I played the under Alabama, Indiana, which won. The Texas Tech, Oregon game, Texas Tech, this great defense. but they turned the ball over. And Oregon wins 24-0, which was shocking. I had Texas Tech winning it all. It was a lock. I played under, it was 52.5. I don't know how in the world it was that high. Texas Tech automatically is an under team with this great defense. So it was 24-0. There was some picks in the game. I don't know if there were pick sixes, but there was. Texas Tech turned it over too many times, but they held Oregon to 24. Okay, I got to watch that game to see how they scored, how much was interceptions. And then the Miami Ohio State game, I already told you. So the lock was under Miami Ohio State, under 48.5. It was under 58.5 with Texas Tech. Texas Tech with the dominant defense. It was a 10 defense. I would have played every Texas Tech game under in this playoff had they advanced. So had it been Texas Tech against Indy instead of Oregon, that would have been a lock under also. That would have been like the Ohio State game, 13-10. So Ohio State, realizing their quarterback's a freshman, he's kind of weak. I played them under our first game, Ohio State, Texas. That was an under, right? That was a lock under week one, knowing Arch Manning stinks, pretty good defense. Ohio State, great defense, and we don't have a clue on the freshman quarterback who's not going to do much, and he didn't. And that game was 14-7. I think we're under 48 or 49 or something. But that's what you look for, these dominant defenses. So that's a key that you're looking for. We saw it with Georgia a few years back. We locked Georgia under 5-6 weeks in a row, and they won 38-0, 35-0. So they would play these low-scoring games, even against, Tennessee. I think that was low. Tennessee couldn't. That was when they had Hooker. They beat Alabama 50-49, and it was like 24-10 against Georgia. And that shows you the difference in it. But that's what you're looking for, is you're breaking the team apart, but you really have to go down a couple levels to make sure who they played. So when Seattle played a high-scoring game with the Rams, New England does not have Stafford and Puka. They don't have any receivers. Their quarterback is more of a running guy. So there's no way New England's going to light up Seattle. And they punted, 8 times in a row, first 8 times. So you understand that. So it then becomes, who did they play? And that's a great representation of the expected outcome and the problem solving of it. So it's a lot like poker. I see the guy make a big bet. He's got aces. He's got a full house. He's got a flush. Every time he has that big bet, he's got a hand. Doesn't bluff a lot. Then I see a guy who bets these big bets and he bluffs a lot. So I have an idea. Well, player A, when he bets a lot, he's got it. Player B, when he bets a lot, he's bluffing. Like I told you about the Russian girl. She would bet a lot. She was bluffing. And as soon as she had a hand, she checked. So when she bets a lot, she's bluffing. And when she doesn't, when she checks, the red flags come out. She's got a hand. So she told me what she had, even though she didn't mean to. And then she starts playing real poker. Well, I'll check, and then I won't show my hand. Well, you are, because you're checking. So you watch the betting in poker, and that's how you problem solve that. But we'll get to that in a minute. So you're looking at figuring out the teams. But look, as you notice, I didn't go Miami against Duke or Miami against Florida State. I more went Miami, Ohio State, Miami A&M, Miami, Notre Dame. And so I figured that. Indiana, I didn't go Michigan State or Purdue. They killed Purdue. But I went with Indiana, the Ohio State game, the Penn State game, and the 2 Oregon games, and then the playoff games. So you're looking at what comparable. That tells you how good the team really is when they beat Ohio State and they beat Alabama and they beat Oregon twice. That tells you about the team. So now you know what you can expect when they play Miami of Florida. So you know what Miami of Florida did to the better teams. And that's where I get in trouble, like with Michigan when they cheated and they basically beat nobody. They had the weakest schedule in the history of life. Ohio State sucked that year. I don't know if they beat Penn State. The schedule was just the out of conference schedule. The three early games were against, Hawaii and, other teams that sucked. And then in the playoff, they played Alabama, and Alabama had them beat, but Milrose fumbled. And that's why I wouldn't draft Milrose. Under pressure, he didn't drive him down and score the winning touchdown. He fumbled. And then Texas, or against Washington, Penix had a good game, but it was fixed, and he threw a couple of good passes, and they were called for holding or something. It was like bullshit. But their defense was not strong enough. Michigan ran it down their throat. Okay. But that's what you're looking at. So it's hard to get a gauge on Michigan because they didn't play anybody. So I can say, well, Ohio State, but Ohio State was terrible that year. So you're just looking at it going, well, I'm not sure what to do with it. It gives you data points to similar teams to get you to figure out what's going on, how to bet the team. Like I say, Seattle beat the Rams, but they killed the Niners. And, if it was Bo Nix in Denver, it would have been a little different story. Bo Nix can run a little bit, and so had Denver beat New England as they should have, then it goes into Denver and Seattle. You got different games. Seattle with a good defense and Bo Nix being the difference. He's much better than Drake May. So you would have had, could Denver have beaten Seattle? Maybe. New England tried to get after Darnold. Darnold threw some really strange passes that got through. Could Denver have stopped Kenneth Walker? I think they could have much better than New England did. I'm not saying Denver would have won, but it would have been a whole different game. And I don't think Seattle would have scored as many points on Denver. Much better defense, much better coach. Right? He would have stopped it because he's played in Super Bowls, or he's coached Super Bowls, right? So that's what we have. But we had New England, and New England wasn't really that good. They really didn't play anybody. As we went through their schedule, they had played Buffalo. That was it. And then in the playoffs, San Diego sucked. Houston, 5 turnovers. C.J. Stroud sucks. Great defense. But C.J. Stroud doesn't understand, hey, the coach should have just run the ball and said, we're going to run it and punt it, play field position, and let our defense win the game for us. A la the 72 Dolphins, a la the Steel Curtain in the early years when they had Bradshaw, who absolutely sucked, a la Lawrence Taylor. I mean, how often did you see Bill Parcells let Sims throw the ball? Bill Parcells knew exactly what he was doing. We got Lawrence Taylor. There ain't no way I'm letting my guy throw 3 or 4 interceptions and losing the game. If I lose the game, it's with Lawrence Taylor on the field shutting down the opponents. That's how they beat the Niners in the 90 championship game, was Roger Craig, who got into the Hall of Fame, which is a joke, fumbling the ball. All he's got to, they should have just taken a knee, or Steve Young should have just done the college option and faked it to him. Lawrence Taylor would have tackled him, and he could have went out the door and got the first down and won the game. But Steve Young wasn't smart enough to do that kind of stuff. But that would be the point. We're going to let Lawrence Taylor win the game for us. So Houston should have let the defense win the game for him and got the turnovers from Drake May, which they did. But they didn't do that. C.J. Stroud lost the game for him instead of letting the defense win the game for him. You throw 5 turnovers and a pick 6 and a couple other bad picks and fumbles, you're not going to win because your defense is neutralized because you're letting their defense score and you're letting their defense have the ball at the 10-yard line. There's not a lot your defense can do, right? A little bit, but not, even the Giants, if Sims threw a pick 6 or or left the ball at the 2-yard line, there's not a whole lot Lawrence Taylor's going to do. But you play to Lawrence Taylor, you play to the Houston defense, and the Houston coach didn't do that. He should be fired. I'm not sure maybe he's a defensive coordinator. He's not a head coach. He doesn't have the game plan. These coaches do not have the understanding. It's too much analytics. They do not have the understanding of who their strength and weaknesses is and who the other team's strength and weakness is. So when you're betting football, you've got to understand the coach. You've got to understand the quarterback, right? Again, I'll go to the Lions. I do not think Dan Campbell is a good coach. He's a good motivator. The team plays hard for him. But is he a good coach? I don't think he's a good game coach. I don't think he's a good manager of the clock. I don't think he knows how to call timeouts at the proper point. I don't think he knows how to call the proper plays. And I just don't see him as a real good coach. John C., how are you? So I'm not sure Detroit has a good coach. Is the team better? Well, it was better because they had Ben Johnson, actually. And even then, that was the second choice. The first offensive coordinator sucked. They put Ben Johnson in. So he wasn't even smart enough to recognize Ben Johnson was a good coach. Then he has Ben Johnson for 2 years, and they go to the championship game, which they would have won if Dan Campbell understood kicking field goals. And that's where you question Dan Campbell. He doesn't understand that. What does he do? He goes for fourth downs. This is a championship game. This is about getting points, keeping momentum. This is not playing New Orleans, when you're 20-point favorites. This is at San Francisco. To go to the Super Bowl, you do not go on fourth down. You kick your field goal. You keep the momentum, and they would have won. If he kicks the first field goal and even if he misses it, it's still you don't lose the momentum the same as you go for it and not make it. That's a different momentum thing. So I question his stability of understanding game plans, strength and weaknesses. I don't think he understands that. The defense, they certainly don't know how to draft defensive players and keep defensive players. He doesn't understand that. You're going to get injuries, so you can't pay Jared Goff, who's an average quarterback, $50 million. Sorry, Jared, here's $10 million. I need defense. We don't win with you. We win with the defense. We lost to the Niners because we didn't have defense. We lost to the Washington in the next year because nobody could handle Jalen Daniels, but we saw Philadelphia kill him. We need a defense to win, and we don't have it. And we have good starters. The safeties were good. Hutchinson was good. Hutchinson snaps his leg. He's done. Don't expect anything from Hutchinson. He got paid. He ain't showing up. And then you have the safeties are both gone. So now you need to draft. Well, you only have a few people in the draft to take, and you need 10 players. You need a whole offensive line, a whole defensive line, a secondary. So you need 15 players. Good luck. You're not going to win. How's it going, TK? It's fine. Tuesday, pool closes early for a swim meet, so I got to get there by 1:30 today. Otherwise, not much. Gold and silver are hurting, but we understand it's paper. So as we problem solve gold and silver, understanding it's paper, understanding their options, and they want the price lower to buy more, we problem solve football, which is figuring out the teams, which has many layers because it's based on really the good teams they beat. We got to ignore the weak teams they beat and only look at the good teams they beat and see how they did. Check the injuries, check the coaches, check the quarterback, and come to the conclusion. So picking the Super Bowl with Seattle was not hard at all. They had the great defense. So they got a good defensive coach. They had a good defense. Okay, we'll give them credit for that. Darnold was okay, but not special. Kenneth Walker was the difference. Smith and Jima didn't show up. He had 4 catches against that defense was a joke because they kept rushing the safety, so he'd be wide open. And then so you have that, and then you have uh, better defense, Seattle, better quarterback, Seattle, better coach, Seattle. So it hit the figures, and then Seattle beat the Rams. I got to go. I told you I would go see that play again. So the last play of the Seattle Ram game, the 2-point conversion play, wasn't the last play, but it was near the end. I want to see if the ref calls it incomplete. And if he does, the game, that's it. The play is dead. You called it incomplete. You can turn it over and say it was a lateral, but then the guy can't recover it because it's been called incomplete. It's like blowing the whistle. Even though the guy recovered it, the play's dead when he blew the whistle. And I'm sure the whistle was blown, and I'm sure it was an incomplete pass. But I'll check that for everybody. So you're problem solving the game, and I've walked you through the problem solving thing because you really can't just look at the numbers and say this is the team. People want to say how good Caleb is, and I point out in the Ram game, oh, by the way, he threw 3 interceptions, including the interception in overtime, which cost cost them the game. The Bears should have driven down the field, and the Bears should have beaten the Rams if Caleb didn't have his head up his ass. The pass that was intercepted, I don't know where he was throwing it. The guy never had a chance. The guy was trailing the cornerback. The cornerback knew the play. DJ Moore was 5 yards behind him. Unfortunately, the ball was thrown for the cornerback, not for DJ Moore. And so let's look at the whole picture of Caleb. He threw 3 picks in the game, and they lost. Yeah, he threw the miracle pass where the cornerback came up instead of staying with the tight end. Go figure that. But that was the key. He was probably the same guy who fumbled the punt. I'll have to watch that. But basically, that's what you're looking at is get the complete picture of Caleb. He threw 3 picks, including the pick in overtime, which cost him the game. He's not a winner. And I never thought Caleb was a winner. So he makes these, run around, dancing, playground touchdowns. The guy is totally covered. But then he keeps going and he gets behind the defense because the defense knows they have him covered and they stop. And he does that. And you want to call Caleb this great quarterback. He's not. So keep that in mind. So that's how you're problem solving the game. You're kind of, when the Bears beat Philly, I then changed the Bears. Okay, they are a good team. They ran it down Philly with all of my Georgia guys and on the road. So, yeah, I'm going to bet the Bears. That was the key, was they beat a good team on the road. They really hadn't beaten a good team. They lost to Green Bay. They lost to Detroit. I think they did beat Minnesota, with J.J. Stroud, J.J. McCarthy, and then Brosmer are both terrible quarterbacks. So, again, it's recognizing the talent, recognizing J.J. McCarthy stinks, recognizing Brosmer was from Northeastern or something. I mean, he's not even a college quarterback. So now that's how you problem solve. Football is ranking the team and then getting to the point, how good's their quarterback? How's he been against really tough defenses? How have they been against really explosive offenses? Who are they playing? Oh, New England does not have an explosive offense like the Rams. They're probably more like the Niners with McCaffrey and Purdy. Here you got Drake May and really no running back. And, so it's going to be different. So you problem solve the game and you pick the score, and that's what you did. I think in the Super Bowl, did I pick the score? Yes, I picked a score. 27-13 was my score for the Super Bowl, and it ended 29-13. Knowing Seattle's got the great defense, New England doesn't have a good offense, they're going to struggle. And then Seattle still scored on the Rams. They scored on the Niners. I thought they'd be able to score on New England, which they were able to. But New England only beating Denver 10-7 with the backup. That was it. That was like, okay, this team's not very good. So again, picking the score, I could easily pick the game. And I just ignore you didn't tease it over 3.5. Like, who gives a fuck? That's not the important factor. The important factor is I thought they were 7-point favorites and they were 4.5. So with that imparted, excuse me, with that shown, it showed me how to pick the game. So now we go to poker, and I touched on it a little bit. Problem solving. And a lot of it is watching the player, not necessarily, I don't give a shit about his facial expression. Because like I said, I can smile every hand, and you don't know what I got. Does he have a full house? He's smiling. Does he bluff? He's smiling. What does the smile mean? So that's a way to get away from the tells that are like subconscious, right? Like, oh shit, I didn't hit it. Like, you can't give that away. So when you look at your cards, you've got to be vanilla. You can't go, shit, I missed my flush. Shit, I missed my straight. I'm going to throw my hand in. I don't like when they fake on you and the guy's like folding his cards but watching your expression. I never know what that means. It's like, look, fold your fold. Are you folding or you're not? That's today with it. I don't know what I'm going to tell you. Really, if you're going to fold a hand and you're looking for my expression, I really don't know what that means. So anyway, you're watching the betting because nobody can fool you with the betting. The betting is what the betting is. You bet 50 or you bet 500 or you go all in or you check. That's the tell. And so you just play the players and it gets difficult. Now, in a tournament versus at a cash game, you probably got most of the guys there for a while, right? Occasionally they'll move up to a 2-5 game, or occasionally they got to go to dinner or something. But generally, if you're at a 7-8 man table, probably 5 or 6 of you are going to stay there for a while. There might be one newcomer which you kind of read him in his first few hands against the other players. In a tournament, you do have more switching. Now, what happens in a tournament, the blinds go up, and therefore you have to go all in more as your blinds are blinding out. I can only play 3 or 4 more blinds, so I'm going to have to go all in, which really, I think the tournament tells are very difficult because they're kind of forced to go all in, but they might not have a hand to go all in with. They're just, any ace I'm going to go all in with. So you got to be careful with the all ins. They're probably not very good hands, or not as strong as they would in the beginning of the tournament and all in. So again, you're watching the player. The player is the key. Is he a bluffer? Well, when you get into a World Series of Poker tournament versus a tournament at the MGM in Detroit, you're probably dealing with different things. World Series of Poker, you probably have more bluffers than not, because they know they got to bluff sometimes. See, I don't like I have to bluff because I'm not going to get cards all the time. And I when I play a cash game, if I don't get cards, I just leave. I sit there for a good hour, maybe an hour and a half. And if I'm getting 2-7 every hand, I get up and leave. I am not lucky at that point. I'm not getting cards. I'm not going to sit here 5 hours until I get cards. I'm tired of folding. I got better things to do. And I just leave. In a tournament, it's different because you start getting blinded out. So then you're going to have to start bluffing and you're going to have to start playing weaker hands. That's probably the biggest difference in a cash game than a tournament. Right? In the cash game, I ain't getting cards. I'm not betting because I don't care if I'm playing 1-2 no limit. Who cares? So here's $3 every 7-8 hands. I got to put in the middle. Fine. And then I see a flop when I am the big blind and nobody bet. Okay, let me see the flop. And then, and I hit my 3-6. Yeah, it's game 6-6-3. Okay. Aren't I a great player? So again, in a cash game, you're more apt to just fold. You're not getting blinded out. Uh, it seems a lot like guys like Daniel Negreanu will call the bluff all the time. He'll call the hand all the time. So if you have aces, he'll call you. If you have twos, he'll call you. If you're bluffing, he'll call you. So don't bluff Daniel Negreanu. The other thing with Daniel Negreanu, he talks too much. But if he says, "What do you got, aces? What do you got, kings?" You don't respond to it, but you don't take it seriously, because I seen him do that on a show. He had like nothing, or he had nines or something, and the guy's betting with his king, so he's betting pre-flop. He bets the flop, he bets the turn, and he goes, "What do you got, aces or kings?" And the guy's like, "Fuck, he knows my hand." I think he said kings, and he had kings. Shit, he knows my hand. And then he bets into him, and you're thinking, "Oh, he knows I got kings, and he's betting. He thinks he can beat my kings. What do I do?" And the guy folded. The guy didn't. And then Daniel says, "Well, I didn't say I could beat the kings." So he kind of is a cheat, because he's that information you don't really not supposed to say. So I would just ignore Daniel Negreanu in a hand. He's fishing for information. What did you have? Phil Hellmuth or these other guys. What did you have? What did you have? Oh, go fuck off. You want to play, you want to pay and call me, then I'll show you. But to just ask me for that, I'm not going to give you. Why should I just tell you what I have? I would say, what did you have? You tell me what you had, I'll tell you what I had. You had garbage because you folded. And I wouldn't tell them the truth anyway. TK, you watching the Olympics? No, I haven't watched 5 minutes of it. I have no care about that. I'm not really watching that much sports now. I'm not watching basketball. Hockey I watched when the Wings were good, or Bobby Orr, but outside of that, there's no good players in hockey to watch. The Olympics, I have no interest. It's not. I think I turned it on for 5 minutes, and they were doing ice dancing. Okay, turn that off. Then I saw some speed skating, and I watched 5 minutes of that. I don't care about the hockey. They've ruined it. So no, I'm not like, I don't like now. If I'll watch YouTube, and I'm watching football and poker, as you see me talking about it more, because I'm watching poker, the World Series of Poker, and I watched every year. I still think, now you guys think the NFL's fixed. I will guarantee you that Chris Moneymaker was fixed, because at the time they probably had 400 or 500 people going to the main event. As I said, it's like, well, we can't beat Phil Ivey and Negreanu and Hellmuth. So what's the point? And then Moneymaker wins, and he beats Phil Ivey, and then he beats Sammy Farha, and then everybody goes, well, fuck, if he can win, he's a bubblehead. If he can win, I can win. And then you had 5,000-6,000 people at 10,000 apiece. Now everybody's making some big money. And I think that's the point. I think they let Chris Moneymaker win. They probably paid off Sammy and gave him a couple million. And then he loses, and he makes it look good. And then now it's 6,000. I think it was 8,000. I was watching like 2023. Now, the problem with watching the latest World Series, 2023, 2024, 25, I don't know anybody. I watch it for about a half hour, and I go, who cares? I don't know any of the players. Who cares? And that goes back to baseball was more popular with Mickey Mantle and Willie Mays and Hank Aaron and Joe DiMaggio than it is now, because there's no stars in the game. So you don't care about baseball, and you really don't care about this World Series of Poker, because it's a bunch of nobodies. And you want to watch Phil Hellmuth and Negreanu and Doyle Brunson and these stars play, because you want to learn something. What are they doing? How do they play? I'm not going to learn anything. There's Joe Green from West Texas State in the final table, I don't care. I don't want to watch. I'm not gonna. It's like if I watch another handicapper, like, or I watch these gold or money shows on YouTube, and the guy doesn't know what inflation is. Well, the prices are going up. Okay, I've had enough of that. I'm not going to learn anything. I want to learn, and I'm not going to learn watching Joe Smith in the World Series of Poker, the final 27 or the final 9. I'm not going to learn anything from them. So I don't want to. I don't want to watch because there's nothing to learn, and I don't really care about these people. I don't know who they are, and I don't care about them, and that's the point of it. So, yeah, I play poker, obviously. Good question. As I'm teaching it, obviously I know how to play if I'm teaching it. So again, you've got to learn the player. So if I'm at the final table, I'm watching what these guys do, and then I know if they're bluffing or not. I'm not looking at their tells. I'm looking at their bets. And it's always curious, probably more in a tournament, the all-in is probably more prevalent because they're getting blinded off than in a cash game. In a cash game, the all-in is 99.5% a bluff, right? Because if I've really got 4 aces, I don't want to go all in. I want you to call me. Now, unless I'm damn sure that when I go all in, it's a bluff, and so I'm going to go all in with the 4 aces, you'll think I'm bluffing and calling, which I can't see happening. Very, very rarely, I'm going to think you're going to bet that $100,000 bet, or in my world, the $1,000 bet would probably be a bluff. An all in would be a bluff. The betting like 500 or 1,000 would probably be a real bet. And then it's up to you what you have. And if you don't think you can win, you should fold 100% of the time. And if he bluffs you, he bluffs you. It doesn't matter. You've got to leave emotion at the door, right? I don't know that I got a pair of 6s. I'm not going to call. So you got to be careful. But in tournaments, you'll see a lot more all-ins because the blinds are going up. Be careful. But at the end of the day, you're reading the player like we read football. So you're looking at the players and this guy bluffs, this guy doesn't. At that level, if you're at Vegas, pretty much everybody bluffs. I mean, that you can assume. And then you're just depending on your hand. So if you don't have a good hand, fine. You don't need to bluff. If you have good cards and I have good cards, that's it. And that would be it. But that's the bluffs are irrelevant. A lot of people watch you for weak strength and weakness. So I was watching one guy who was a big bluffer. They said he's the best bluffer or whatever. And he would read you and he would think you're weak or think you're strong. And if he thought you were weak, he'd bluff you. So he's bluffing you based on you looking weak. So if I know that, I can look weak, wink, wink, and act scared. And then he does the bluff. And then I go all in on him. And then what does he do? And then he won't bluff me again because he has no idea who I am or where I'm coming from. I've checked ace high full houses. So it's what are you reading? Am I supposed to look scared? Oh my God, or oh fuck, I didn't get it. I'm not at that level. I'm at a much higher level where I'm going to not give away my hand. I'm going to look like this and not give you anything. You have no idea what I got or anything like that. So that's how you play. You play where you don't give away. You just look down. You don't look at them in the eyes. You just look down. And if he wants to look at you, good for him. You can look at my hair that I now have. And you can look at it. But I'm not telling you anything. Normally, if I'm in the hand, I got cards. I'm not playing 2-7. I'm not going to play. I'm going to read you, now if I'm in the hands with an average card, with average hand, I might have had ace, queen of diamonds, and everything missed, but it's going check, check to me. I might check the flop and then check, check. Then I might bet a little small token because they're showing me they're weak. I'm not looking at them to see they're weak. I'm looking at their bets, and they keep checking. If they keep checking, okay, if you had a hand, you'd be betting by now. Again, the nature of the beast, us, is it's really not, I hate to say greed, because greed's good. Greed is you're trying to better yourself. But let's call it greed. You want to make money. You're playing poker to make money. You got a hand, you're betting because you want to make money. So it makes no sense. Check the flop, check the turn. If you have a good hand, the natural thing would be to bet it because you want to build the pot and make money at it. This I'll check and let him bet the river. It's that's only time they do that is if they know I'm going to I'm aggressive. I'm going to if you're checking, I'm going to bet, and then he's trapping me. But I don't even tell you that. You don't have any idea on me. But that's what you're looking for. Is this guy a trapper or not? And that's where you give out fake signals, and you got a full house, and you're tentative. So he makes a big bet like you're bluffing, and then you got him because you're slow playing him. I like to slow play a lot where I look weak, but I got the goods. As soon as you bet, he knows what you have. So if I'm checking and I get this bluffer guy at the table, I'm going to do it. Now, how I played the Russian girl who bluffed all the time, I would let her bluff and only call her if I got pocket aces and I might bet a small amount. And then I knew she was coming over the top, and then I'd call her because I had trapped her. I had pocket aces. She had nothing. And as we got through the hand, I would just keep checking. She'd keep betting, and I knew I got 3 nines. I think I'm winning the hand. I've hit my flush. I think I'm winning the hand, and I was never scared of her. But I would only play her with really good cards. I wouldn't play her with marginal calls or straight or flush draws. It would cost you too much. If it starts costing you money and you're on a straight or flush draw, just fold it. It's not worth it because you're not going to get paid off. If you have diamonds and 2 diamonds on the board, and there's a big bet and you call it, and then the third diamond hits on the flop or the river, on the turn or the river, you're not going to get paid off. Oh, I hit my flush, I'm going to bet. Well, I'm folding then because you hit your flush. So there's no point in it. You're not going to get paid off unless the other guy's got a smaller flush. So it depends how much it costs you. It's just like back to the Lions. They went for it on 4th down instead of kicking the field goal, and it cost them a lot. It was a heavy call, right? They should have kicked. They should have folded, right? No, they kicked. No, they went for it and didn't get it. And that's the same thing as going for the flush. And now I don't get it. Now I've lost all this money. So that's where a lot of people lose their money is on these draws that even if they catch, they're not going to make money because the other guy's gonna fold. This hero call. I don't know if I would play 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, or 6s, depending on how much it costs me. If it was very small, because I have a shit hand. I have 2s. Every card that's going to be flopped is going to beat my 2. So what am I going to do? Assume that the guy's got nothing? Yeah, let's assume you got ace king every hand and I got 2s and I'm going to bet because my 2s are better than your ace king. Yeah, okay. When I go broke, I'll let you know. That's a terrible way to play. So a lot of it depends on how much you got to put in the pot, but you're really hoping for a miracle. Without getting the third 2 or the third 3, you really have no hand. You really can't call anything. The board has it. If you make calls on that, assuming he's got ace king or ace queen, and he doesn't, there's no ace or king or queen comes out. I pulled a miracle, but generally, you can't beat anything. If you don't get the third two, you're screwed. So I don't really. Again, it depends how much. If I'm the big blind, it doesn't cost me anything. I'll see with twos and hope I get the third two. And all I'm looking at is the flop. I ain't staying around. But as soon as it starts costing me money, I'm out. And again, oh, I think he's weak, so I'm gonna stay in with my twos. He probably has ace king. So, oh, I'm getting a read that the guy is weak because he's not betting or he's betting a lot. Whatever it is, he's betting a lot. He wants to get me out. So he's trying to bluff me. But it's so hard because you could have a pair of sevens and you're fucked because your twos can't beat anything. And with five cards out and his two, you're pretty much getting a pair. That's how I would view it. You're pretty much getting a pair with the five cards out. So I'm not playing you with twos or threes. Again, it's a very small call on the pre-flop, and then I either hit it on the flop or I don't. And if I hit it on the flop, never check raise the better, because they like, if it's me and I got aces and you check and I bet my $40-$50 on my aces, and then you check raise me because I got a good hand, so I'm probably not going to fold, and you've trapped me, and I fold them. I fold, like I said, 100% of the time. Maybe with the pros or more seasoned bettors, I might not fold it, but probably would, because when you check raise, what are you saying? Well, I'm trying to trap you, and then you made the bet. Now I can raise you. I know you have a decent hand, and you're probably not going to fold, because the name of the game is to get as much out of you as I can. And that's the key. Do I win a lot? Well, I don't know what a lot is, but I do win. Robert Duvall, yes, I know. Did you like him? It was okay. I thought he was better in The Godfather than some of these other movies. I don't know. It was okay. I mean, it's hard to like people that you have never met. Did he act well? Again, in The Godfather, he did. But, that's all these guys from is a movie. You don't really know what they're like. They're acting. They're being somebody else. So you don't know. And that's the one thing with me, as I say, I'm not acting. This is me. No, I don't know if I liked him. I liked the Godfather movie. That was it. I can't tell you I like Marlon Brando. He was in The Godfather. I liked him in The Godfather, but that's the only movie I've seen him in. So I have no idea. Until you meet these guys, you really don't like them or dislike them. Same thing with Daniel Negreanu. Do I like him? I don't know. If I met him, would I trust him? Probably not. A lot of these guys are actors, so you don't really know what they really are. So should never trust Phil Ivey. I mean, he's the biggest liar in the world. He cheated in Baccarat. He looked at the cards or did something with the cards and cheated. And he denies it. Like, okay, whatever. So that's what you're doing, is you're trying to act a certain way to get them to act. So if somebody's going to bluff you with a big bet, because you see them bluff other people with big bets, but again, it's who are they bluffing? If they're bluffing somebody who's weak and he's trying to get them out, but how about if you bluff somebody who's stronger, or is he only bluffing the guy who's weak? Well, why is the guy who's weak even in the hand? And that's the thing. So you got to be careful what you play. Money management in a cash game is really whatever. You just quit a winner. So if you start with 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, at 10,000, you're going to quit up 1,000 or more. At my 300, if I get 25 or more, I quit a winner. People don't understand that. I go, I'm one. I didn't lose my 300. That's the point of it, because it's a luck game. Hold 'em. I could have aces. You could have sevens and a seven hits and you lose. So that happens all the time. So you got to be very careful about what to do with it. No, I didn't like Godfather Part 2. I thought it was stupid. First of all, you didn't have James Caan in it, and you didn't have Marlon Brando in it. So how could it possibly be better? I'm not a big Al Pacino fan. I thought it was stupid, that whole Cuba thing and killing Fredo or Frodo. I didn't get it. I much liked the first one. The third one I thought was horrible. The third one, the cast was terrible. The whole thing with the Vatican. Yeah, I don't think so. So I thought the third one was just stupid. I don't like that they killed Michael, Al Pacino in the movie, and they killed the daughter. I don't get all these deaths. Are they warning us about deaths? Because if you start seeing these movies, they killed James Bond. They killed in 24. They killed every main character except for Chloe, and then Jack had to go into prison in Russia, which I'm not sure why. He should have just killed them all like he does and walked away with Chloe. So I didn't get that. I thought that was kind of stupid. But like all the main characters died in 24. Same thing with the King of Thrones show that I really didn't watch much. I didn't have HBO, but they killed the blonde girl, which made no sense. The whole storyline made no sense at the end there. So I don't know with all the killings. Are they preparing us that we're all going to die or something? Be careful with banks. I don't know what's going on with digital money and banks. They're trying to scare you with AI, like AI is all that. And we see AI is terrible. You can't trust it. Didn't AI pick New England 24-20 over Denver or something like that, or 24-20 in the Super Bowl? Yeah, that was pretty close. But the fact, like, it's digital money, we don't know it's going to be digital. We got digital money now with Bitcoin. I don't own an ounce of Bitcoin. I never will. I don't own any stable coin. I keep with gold and silver, and I got my Monopoly money. The girls ask me for some money, and I go, I don't have any money. I have very little green. I have moved it all into our favorite colors, gold and silver. So if you need money, I am not going to the store to cash this in to give you some money. I don't have a lot of this money, and I don't want to spend it right now. So I will help you with very little bit of money, but I don't think you know what I have, but it's all gold and silver, which is not going to be cashed. And so I need to last my money as long as I can for the gold and silver to go up before I cash in anything. And that's my point. So I'm not, I don't have a lot of cash per se in cash. So I keep telling the girls that I don't have any money. I have gold and silver. I don't have a lot of money. So you got to stop asking me for money because I don't have it. Well, you're wealthy, yeah, in gold and silver, but that's not that I can't go to the store if I needed to and cash it, but I'm not doing it with gold at 5,000 and silver at 75 or 80 when silver should be 200 by now. So after problem solving gold and silver, the dollar's worthless. The gold and silver is should be going to the moon. It's a paper gold and silver versus physical. Okay. And that's what you're looking for. So you're really looking at the paper being, keeping the value of the physical down. Again, the physical is derived not because the dollar is going down, but because of the demand of bricks pushing the price of gold and silver up. So it's going up based on the demand. The dollar is worthless already. You don't really know what the dollar is worth, which really bothers me when they say, well, it's the dollar going down. Okay, what's it at? What's the dollar at that it's going down? Tell me that, Alistair McLeod, because you don't fucking know. TK, you think gold will go to $1 million ever? No, I don't think it'll go to $1 million ever. Because the dollar, there won't be dollars at that point to price it at $1 million. So gold will go up tremendously, but it won't be priced in dollars at that point, right? So the dollar will be worthless. So they'll just get rid of it. Gold will end up being the money. So will it be worth a million? It could be, but we won't have dollar. We won't have a million. We won't price it in dollars at that point. So I think it hits 50,000. I think we won't be pricing it in dollars, but gold will have a tremendous value as well as silver. Yeah, like I said, you'll be buying a house probably with 2 ounces of gold. As I say, it's a trade, and the housing values are fake too. Everything's fake. That's what you're missing. The price of your house is fake. The price of your car is fake. The price of everything is fake because it's priced in dollars. It's priced in dollars. This isn't real. This has no value. It's monopoly money. So how can you price? Oh, I priced my car, my Camry. It's $25,000, but this isn't worth anything. So what is the 25,000? What's the $25,000 worth if the dollar isn't worth anything? And that's where we're just 10 steps ahead of the game. We're usually 5 steps ahead. In this case, I think we're 10 steps ahead. We know the gold and silver is undervalued. We know the dollar is worthless. So any value you get out of the dollar is basically worthless. But if you want to sell a car for 25,000 in dollars, it's not worth a whole lot. Like I said, if the steaks are $20 and you took a 20 to buy the steak, you're pretty much buying it for $2. Even though it says 20 on it, we know the 20 isn't worth anything. So you're actually buying steaks for $2 and $3, not the 20. The 20 is just, it's a number on a piece of paper that's worthless. John C. So everyone will buying stuff with gold and silver. Monopoly I used to play. Well, look at the Roman Empire. They didn't have money. They had gold and silver. That was it. You go to the Appian Way, they paid their soldiers in 1 ounce of gold, paid the soldier for a year. You bought everything with silver, animals, food, milk, bread, whatever you had there, they bought with silver. That's the Appian Way. Now it's in Las Vegas at Caesars, but basically then it's like the marketplace. There's some fruit and here's a little thing of silver. And that's how they used. That was the money, and that's where we're headed back to. We've tried the dollar. It doesn't work. It's a good idea, but the government and the banks are a bunch of losers that they're criminals, and they keep printing it and they keep stealing it from us. George Soros, Trump, all these guys, Larry Fink, they're all a bunch of crooks. They print the money and they keep it. And then they push it into the stock market. And look at the stock market. Let's see what the stock market's doing today. This will be a joke. And the stock market. The market was closed yesterday. 49,499. So it's 49,500. Let's see what our gold and silver, if it's bounced back. It will, because it's too cheap. So people will buy it realizing it's on sale. And we've got 10 o'clock. It's 12 o'clock. Let's see. 72.65 silver. Gold bounced back to almost 4,900, then started going back to 48.60. So it gold kind of bottomed out, and then it jumped, and now it's going down again. I have no idea. And silver 72.69, but it did bottom at 7,200. Let's look at Bitcoin. 66, let's say. Bitcoin 67,000. So all you people buying Bitcoin because it's going to 1 million, even if it did, it would be in US dollars. It wouldn't be worth anything. Monopoly, yes, we all used to play it with the phony dollars. Who's changed it to the dollar? Well, they came out with a dollar that was gold backed. That was Washington Jefferson, 1776. So it was the best. Money is the medium. I have one on Say's Law. Let me get my Say's Law thing because it really explains it well. So Say's Law really explains it well. Why do people want money? It's a means to an end. I need money to buy things, basically. So we've come out with, well, what's the best money? Is it seashells? Is it rocks? Is it tulips? And we said, this is the best thing. Everybody recognizes it. It's the most wanted and agreed upon thing is to have the money printed like this. You take money to buy the goods, as I said. Plus, you get money to pay to get paid. You go to a job. Well, how are they going to pay me? Well, they'll give me money. And then what do I do with the money? That's the means to an end. I can buy whiskey. I can buy avocados. I'm buying food. I need clothes. I want to go on a trip. Money pays for all that. That's why we have money. It's to produce good services, to get money, supply, to demand other people's things. So you get a job to get money in, and then with the money, you buy things. So that's basically what it is. So how it developed was it just through trial and error. They said the best thing is to print paper, and here's a euro, and here's a dollar, and Swiss franc. They're all dollars, right? The yuan, the yen, the ruble. And that's kind of what they're doing. So the object is to go into the store to use it for a means to an end. I need food. I need clothes. That's how we came up with money. Who changed it from the gold to the dollar? Well, it never really changed. It used to be the gold standard from 1874 to 1914, something like that, where you would use gold-backed dollars. So the dollars were actually backed by gold. That's the gold standard, and that you can't inflate the money. If you have $1 million in gold, you can only print $1 million in money. You can't, because the idea with the gold standard is I go to the bank and I say, here's $100, give me $100 worth of gold. And they would have $100 worth of gold there. Now we've gotten away from it and said, oh, the dollar is going to be the dollar. Wait a minute, it's not backed by gold. Gold's the only thing that's money. You can't have monopoly money not backed by gold to have a value. So all this money is not worth anything. And it doesn't, and every country is the same. So this could be the euro and the dollar. And as I said, it could be China and Japan and Hong Kong and Singapore and Russia and Turkey. They all use this, and none of it's worth anything. So you're one up on the whole world by understanding that one little concept. So you can use it. That's why all the costs are going up. The grocery stores, they're all going up. But that's why what do? We trade it for gold and silver because we know, they can't print this. They can't inflate it. I'm so sick of hearing they debase this. You cannot debase this. You inflate this. This you can debase by taking the silver out of it, right? So this is 90% silver. So like these junk silver, these pre-1965s are junk silver because they're not pure silver. They've taken the silver out of it. And then after that, they took all the silver out of it. So now the quarters and half dollars you get now have no silver in it. So that's the point. So right now you got 100%. You've got 100% silver in the coins. So the debasing is taking the silver out. So I don't know why everybody says they debased the dollar. They're just idiots. They have no idea when you hear a guy say they debased the currency, the dollar, the morons. You can't take gold and silver out of paper. You inflate the money, but they all think inflation's prices. So we are a good 10 steps ahead of everybody because they don't even know what inflation is or what it does or what the dollar is or does or what gold and silver are or do. Gold and silver will never lose value. Yeah, we see this bullshit going on today where it's dropping, but it's paper, it's options, it's not the physical. That's why I'm so adamant about the physical. Being physical means that you cannot lose value. Alyssa goes, well, can the silver go down? I says, no, the silver, physical silver cannot go down. These paper can, but that's not what we're dealing with. It's the physical. So that's why I don't worry about what COMEX says, because I'm looking at the physical stuff. Bitcoin is not anything. You can have digital. I don't know what you can have that's digital. It's more of an IT thing. You can have a digital. I don't think you can have anything digital. I don't know that you would call AI digital or Excel digital or YouTube digital or whatever you want to call it. But you can't have. I'm going to have digital whiskey. Yeah, I want to drink. Well, it's digital. You can't drink it. You can't have digital food, and you certainly can't have digital money. Then it's just make believe. Well, the Bitcoin's worth 67,000. Based on what? It's digital. It's not real. How can it have a value of 67,000? And then how can gold and silver have a value? How does silver have a value of what? $73 an ounce, and Bitcoin's 67,000? Oh, because we see that they're going to tax the gold and silver at 28%, but they're going to tax Bitcoin at 15%. So everybody buys Bitcoin. I don't know if that's the reason, but it's not real. It's just a Ponzi scheme. It's because Trump and Larry Fink and these ETFs and this Sailor guy are the only three buying. They're manipulating the price. The average Joe doesn't have 67,000 to buy one Bitcoin. And then I love everybody. Oh, I paid $2 for it. Nobody paid 10,000 for it. Everybody paid $2. Very interesting. And nobody's smart enough, if they did pay $2, to sell it at 10 grand. Oh, it'll just keep going. Oh, and you are, how big of an idiot are you? Oh, you're a pretty big idiot to think something that's $2 goes to 10,000 is just going to keep going up and not being manipulated. Okay, go pay tax on it and tell me if you get it out. So that's the problem. And then the Bitcoiners refuse to sell because it's going to 1 million, which is a fantasy. It's not real. I read in the AI, it's limited to 21 million. What do you mean limited to 20? 21 million is not limited at all. The Montana rookie cards PSA 10 are probably under 100. So anyway, same thing with card collecting. It's supply and demand. Mantle, huge demand. You get a good grade. It's very low supply. It's worth a lot. Gold and silver, same thing. Very low supply, very high demand. Most of it's already in China and BRICS. All as my description says, I'd say 75% is in BRICS already, gold and silver. They own 75. So there's all these tons out there, but most of them are already gone. Most of them are bought and in a safe, in a vault in China and Russia and India. So they're not available. It's what's available. And COMEX is the biggest liars. There's nothing of it. They don't have anything in their vaults. And you're not going to buy from COMEX anyway. I'm not buying 10 tons. I'm buying 2 ounces here and a half an ounce there from my guy. So that's where that's at. So again, do not panic. This is paper. So just kind of laugh at it. And we know there's huge demand for physical gold and silver for all the purposes it sells, plus its money. and the supply is virtually gone. So if the supply is virtually gone, then what? So we know what we're doing. How much is a gold bar worth? Well, it's $5,000 an ounce. So how many ounces are in a gold bar? There's different sizes. There's 1,000-ounce gold bars, so that would be 5 million, something like that. Yeah, so it'd be 1,000 times 50. So it's 50. I think it's 500,000 would be a 1,000-ounce bar times it's times 5,000, not 50. So that's 3 zeros, and so it's 6 zeros. So that's $5 million for a 1,000-ounce bar. But again, there's smaller ounces. There's 100-ounce bars, I believe. There's probably 10-ounce bars. So it just takes that times the 5,000. And again, it shouldn't be this volatile. This is just bullshit. Again, they're buying it. They're just playing games, as the banks do, as the Madoffs do. They're shorting it and then making a little bit of money. It's just crazy that this is the best they can come up with, is let's short gold and silver and make a little bit of money on it. I mean, these guys are so stupid. If they had any brains in their head, they'd be buying physical and then just watching it go up. So all these people are going to be broke because they're in money. The Bill Gates and the Warren Buffets, all these guys will be broke because the money won't have a value. Warren Buffet does not buy gold or silver. He thinks they're pet rocks. So they'll have no value. His money will have no value. And we're getting really close to that. I don't know how it ends. I don't know how people will just, it'll probably be around and people will just not want it. Oh, I'm going to China. Well, we don't take US dollars, or even Russia or India, or a lot of these BRICS countries. They're not even going to take dollars because they know they're not worth anything. So probably that's what happens. They probably won't take it. We'll come out with a new currency. We'll blame the Russians, and that'll be it. The new currency. They'll have to adjust all the prices for the new currency. Divide by 10. So your $500,000 house in the new currency is worth, 50,000 or something like that. And then the new currency, if it's not backed by gold or silver, will drop to zero, just like is going on now. Zimbabwe went 8 times until they finally did the ZiG, which is a gold-backed currency. You get the wheelbarrows out, $1 trillion. $1 was $1 trillion in that. So I assume it's when nobody wants is when it happens. We don't want it. We already know what's happening. So we got to see. Anyway, that's what's going on. What else? What else did I bring up? So basically, problem solving. It's always identify the problem. Poker, you're identifying the other players. Football, you're identifying the teams. You're making your own line. Poker, what can I do? Everybody's watching, so I got to have fake tells. And it's really, how do they bet? How is he betting? And then you see the showdown. You go, okay, he's got his hand. He bet it. Okay. And then there's tournaments versus cash play. And then gold and silver. Problem solving is the dollar's worthless, right? The dollar has no value. This is worthless. Oh, come on, Howard. How can it be worthless? So they printed 150 trillion of it with the petrodollar and all the other dollars, and they print every month because nobody is stupid enough to take our treasuries. Don't play bonds. The money you get back is worthless. You actually want to be a debtor. You actually want to owe somebody in this time because I'm paying back in dollars. So when I pay my credit card, let's say I owe $5,000 on my credit card and I pay him $500 a month. He's getting monopoly money. So he's not getting the same $500 I borrowed from him. That's what a credit card is. You're borrowing. But if you have good credit, they don't mind. And that's it. So hold your gold and silver. Do not look at the paper prices going, it's falling. I got to sell my gold and silver before it goes to zero. Then you're delusional. It's never going to happen. And it's only dropping. China's on the Chinese New Year for the week. Now we're at Tuesday. I will guarantee tomorrow the price will go up because the price has gone down today. And so it's cheap. So people want to make money. They're greedy, which is fine. And so they're going to buy tomorrow and they'll push the price up. So that's why we don't worry about it. We know physical is very limited. We know there's huge demand for it. So we don't worry about the paper price crumbling. We're wondering, why are we using the paper price for the physical? It's the only thing there is. I go buy this shirt. As I point out, I go buy this shirt and it's $25 and I go buy it and then they run out. They'll go make more shirts, right? But they know there's the demand for it, but you just can't print more of this. You can't print more silver and gold. It's not printable. It's not counterfeitable. You can only dig it out of the ground. That's the beauty of it. And now we understand supply and demand. If the supply is limited, the value goes up. It doesn't go down. Only things that aren't limited that keep getting printed lose value. But you can't lose value with gold and silver because you can't just print it. You have to dig it out of the ground and make it. So that's what it is. So, John C., I would say to figure out how much is the gold bar? 5 ounces, 100 ounces, 1,000 ounces, times it by the 5,000 that the gold's worth. Anyway, not much else if you're watching the Olympics. Was there anything I wanted to share? $72.69, gold's back to $48.64. It'll come back to 5,000. Not a concern.
Was a good time, at least, to let the system fail. Now it's many-fold worse than it was at that point. For the solution cannot come in an orderly way. It will be a disorderly reset of the system, with parts of the banking system not surviving in its present form, paper assets crashing, including obviously stocks, bonds, derivatives, etc. So we're in for a very, very difficult period in the world. Obviously, physical gold reflects what's happening to money, always has, because physical gold is constant purchasing power. And this is what we're going to see this time again, with gold in paper money terms going out by massive percentages. But in real terms, it will at least maintain purchasing power. But I think because of the very big demand we're going to see for gold, and of course that demand cannot be satisfied by making more gold, or refining more gold, because there isn't more gold than around 3,000 tons every year to be had from the mines. And therefore, the only way that the increase in demand of gold can be satisfied is by a higher price, not by more quantities of gold.
So that's kind of why I say, what I'm saying is, the dollar gets printed as worthless, but gold you can't print. So that's what he was saying at the end. The supply of gold and silver can't go up, but the demand is high. So the demand will force the price up. So when we see this COMEX crap, the bankers are having fun playing options. We need a physical market. So we don't have one. So we know when it goes down, but we know it'll go up. It has nowhere to go because there is huge demand, because there's two reasons. The financial, you have to get out of paper, and then the industrial side. And I don't even look at the industrial side. I'm looking at the financial side. You have to get out of dollar, you go into gold and silver. That's all there is to it. So once you understand that, you're fine. And that's what we understand. So keep that in mind. Anyway, I keep watching the Colonel, an organized crime state. This was interesting with JFK. It was something about an oil scam in Texas. That's why he got killed. I mean, I keep watching the Colonel. The war in Ukraine is over, but when I go into it, he doesn't say it's over. Well, they don't have any troops, and it should be over, and it's going to end soon. Well, fuck, your title says it's over, but it's not over. So I keep thinking, oh, they finally ended the war, only to find out they didn't end the war. So he's frustrating there. This one, your money is locked, is basically you go to the bank and you can't get your money out, which is why I keep most of my money in my safe and in gold and silver. So I don't worry about the stuff. I have very little money in the bank, just my Social Security comes in. I pay rent and some utilities with it, and that's it. And so, as far as I know, if they do turn off the bank or not let you pay your bills or go to the bank and it's closed or go to the ATM and get it out. Again, I think this is this is AI scaring you. Can it happen? Would it happen that way? I don't know that the bank would close, but I know one thing. If you have a safety deposit box of your gold and silver at the bank, they could shut the doors. You're not getting the money out. Now, do they keep it? I don't know, but probably. But I'd be careful of that. And I wouldn't leave a lot of money in the bank. And therefore, if you have the cash, you can still use the cash. But as long as my Social Security comes in a direct deposit, I'm fine. And that, okay, I got so much for rent, so much for that. And I tell Jenna, well, that's all I got. I don't have money for you because it's all in gold and silver. That's the point of it. So be careful with that. So, God, my back itches for some reason. Anyway, anything else? How much is a gold bar worth? Depending on how many ounces it is. Anyway, so this war in the Ukraine and Russia, I don't know why it's still going on. There's no purpose of it. It's all money laundering. So they give the money to Ukraine and they just steal it and it comes back. And so Zelensky's a pretty rich guy. He's in his bank accounts. And I'm sure that the Ukrainian people want to kill him. He's killed so many people. But that's where we're at. So all these wars are about the U.S. trying to steal gold, silver, and oil from these countries. But the problem is Russia, China are backing them, and like they're going to Iran for their oil. That's why they're there. But Iran's not taking it. And no, we got a lot of missiles. We're going to fire on you if you try to take it. And that's what all these wars are about. That's why Germany invaded Russia. They needed their oil and they tried to get their gold. That was the whole point of invading Russia, the gold and the oil, just like they did every other country. The problem with England is it was an island, so they really couldn't invade them because they couldn't get they couldn't get anything there. And I think they were in on it too. I think England and Germany were partners in the war. They probably backed Hitler. Because Hitler's broke. How does he get all the money to build tanks and airplanes and all this other stuff? Where's he getting the money from? Oh, yeah, probably from Britain. Anyway, that's about it. So no football. That's how you problem solve is you've got to understand what you're solving. Women, same thing. You're problem solving the women. Who is she? How does she act? How's she going to treat me? How do I want to be treated? How will I treat her? She's attractive, but there's more to it. It's more how do they treat you than just that they're attractive. Because the attraction wears out. The girls put on weight. The girls age badly. So you've got to really like them for more than just their looks to be with the girl. It's mostly how do they treat you? Do they appreciate you? Are they honest with you? You know, if they're going to lie to you, you don't want to be around anybody that lies to you. So no matter how good looking they are. So you got to be very careful with that. But if you get the right girl who loves you for you and is there for you and lets you, you know, play poker and bet football or whatever it is you do, golf, whatever, then it's okay. And then you watch, why don't you have a boyfriend? And, you know, sometimes you don't take the prettiest girl in the room because the one who's a little less pretty is more loyal to you. She's so happy to have you. She's not going to lie to you or cheat on you. So again, you got to be careful. And with that, I think that's about it. So time for lunch and then swim. I got to get there early. So I think that's it. So www.teaserking.com. Don't worry about gold. It's going to 8,000. Don't worry about silver. It's going to 1,000. It's still going there. It's the path we take is filled with options and derivatives and the bank's manipulating it. So we understand we're playing in a crooked game. So we get that. So then it's got to be long-term and what's going on with it. So we have to understand that. We got to understand the game. Anyway, with that, I think I will go. So www.teaserking.com. No football. So, you know, we watch YouTube. No baseball starting the end of March. So we got a month for that. We do have the NBA playoffs. I will give picks for that, which should happen in March. No, it starts in April. This is kind of the dead period here, this February period. Nothing's going on. The Olympics, I don't care. I certainly don't bet it, and I don't advise anybody to bet it. As fixed as everything is, you can't. But that's my one prediction was Chris Moneymaker was fixed. And they let him win to have, hey, anybody can win, and then everybody join. Now you got 9,000 people joining at 10,000 a crack. Now the winner should sell and go into gold with it, but they probably won't. They'll blow their money. All right. Have a good day. Have a good Tuesday, February 17th, www.teaserking.com. Enjoy. All right. Take care, everybody. See you tomorrow.